around town most of the afternoon, trying out different areas, seeing how it performed. And I actually got to meet with someone from the Sacramento Tesla Owners Club, so that was super fun. I got to show him the beta. We drove around all over town so he could experience it, and I was so happy because it didn't trip out as bad it did, you know, when I first got the beta. It's mind-blowing to me because .11 software is just, it's crazy because you can see the difference so rapidly as a driver, how quickly they start fixing these issues that we've been experiencing. It's just mind-blowing to me. And you know, I've said it so many times, but that's one of my favorite things about Tesla, that they can just push stuff and so quickly to us. And now that they have this like feedback loop from us as drivers through the social media platforms, it's truly incredible. So it reacted to the bicyclist there. It actually went right out of the lane and went around. I mean, it was safe. There was no cars to the left of us. I actually had a scenario earlier. I wasn't recording it, but there was, I think it was a bicyclist on the right or a pedestrian, something like that, and a car on the left, and it slowed down to a stop, which is perfect. It did what it was supposed to do. Like a natural driver would go around if it was clear to do so. So my very first drive, it didn't take this turn. I did this turn earlier and it actually worked. So it just, for some reason, it really braked hard, but it took the turn this time. It didn't do it the very first time I did this exact path with .10. It's already such an improvement. You know, now there's like little adjustments that need to be made, like the stop lines. It's stopping well ahead of the stop lines, which is fine, but it's accelerating very abruptly, and it's unnerving for us as a driver. So like they just need to make a slight adjustment for that, like make the stop line a little bit closer and let it creep forward, or give us a little notice that says, you know, poor visibility, you know, like it's gonna look like it's gonna creep forward and look, just to like reassure us as drivers, because you know, the cars are not autonomous. You know, we are in control, so it's important for us to take over and train the system. It'll just be more natural for everyone. Oh, cool. Yeah, the very first time, like I remember this because it was on .10 and it just would not want to move over here. So the car next to us actually was going to let us go, but I think they just got tired of letting us get in that gap. So that, you know, that needs to be refined. So we're actually needing to turn left. Yeah, you can see it now. We actually have to turn left at that light up there. So, you know, the cars are lighting up red. I'm curious to see what's going to happen now. Yeah, just bad timing. Yeah, it's not going to go. So, the little car next to us wasn't letting us in. So, you know, I'm not going to put any blame on Tesla for that. That was just a bad situation for the driving. So we'll just continue. Maybe I can like loop around and try that turn again. So there definitely needs to be some logic improvement. You know, as a driver, when we see a lot of traffic, we try to move ahead sooner, so you know, we don't have to get in a situation like that. So for me, I would have moved, you know, a lot earlier, just to allow myself time, because I know there's a lot of cars. Hi, Tesla. Oh, that was a Model Y. Let's see. It's clear. Is it gonna go? It's gonna go. Come on, hurry up. Oh my gosh. It went, you guys. It yielded correctly. It's slowing down for the speed bump. Wow. Oh, that was so interesting. Okay, so I hope you guys could see that there was actually like a dark spot in the road where they were actually doing like construction for pipes, and it slowed down for that. And it's slowing down for every speed bump. Wow. This is so awesome. It's just like, it's so crazy because I mean, you guys remember seeing my very first video of like the first night that I got this, and my car was like, you know, weaving around the roads, and you know, it wasn't lane finding very well. So here it took the turn, it cut over the lines. It should have taken the turn much wider. So let me report that. That needs to be improved, but there was no cars. It was safe to do so. But it's so crazy to me because like as a tester and as a driver, I'm able to see how quickly they improved the software, and we're able to pick up on all these little subtle changes. So you know, the speed limit just was set there to 30, and now my speed went right up, and it's just driving so much more natural. I love it. So again, it turned, you know, it cut the turn a little bit. I would say maybe about a foot. It cut over the line about a foot. Oh, it's actually going to turn into target. Whoa. So my very first night, I tried this exact route going into target, and it was like swerving around. Wow. So it has the parking lot mapped. I'm just going to let this go and see what happens. It should take me right to the front of target. That's where the point is on the map. So it's reacting to the pedestrian there with a shopping cart. Now it's blue, so it's ready to go. It's thinking the car's... Okay, so it was going to swerve left, and not into that car, but it was going to swerve left because it's having trouble doing path finding, as you can see on the screen here. There's a lot of cobblestone here. I mean, we are in a parking lot, so that's to be expected. But that's really awesome, you guys. It turned into a parking lot in front of the store. Like, so the very first night I tried that, it really struggled. But it pulled into the parking lot right at Target. That is incredible. And it's so cool to me because I'm seeing the difference. Okay, so let's actually go into Midtown. Okay, back on. So now we're driving through Sac State. This is really the path I wanted to take because there's a lot of like bumps on the rumble strips. There's a lot of pedestrian walkways, a lot of stops. It's kind of curvy through here. It's kind of hard to see. It's a really good test. And actually on 8.10, the very first night we drove through here, it worked great. So I'm kind of expecting the same, but you never know. Okay, car on the left. It's detecting it. So I've noticed like when it changes color, it'll turn like blue, like it's waiting. So when it turns back to like the gray color, then the car starts going again. It's really cool. I love that we can see a visual of like which car it's waiting for. So I came to a four-way stop and you could see exactly which car the Tesla knew needed to go next, and it was highlighted like it was waiting for that car. It was so cool. I think that was actually my Auburn video. So I would have, you know, gone already, but that's fine. It's not like not a problem. It's more like a cautious driver, and that's okay. Because I know that once Tesla is more comfortable with the software, they kind of turn all the stuff up in the car. So, you know, I know that that's going to change. It's going to be modified easily. So right in that, on that turn, there was like this piece of cement that was like popped out of the road. Oh, interesting. So there's actually a runner jogging next to us, and it stopped for everyone in the crosswalk and the jogger, because the jogger kind of, he kind of pivoted to the right pretty rapidly, and the car reacted to him kind of direction changing. That was really unique. I've never seen that before. So the jogger was running straight, but kind of like turned to the right to go around these pedestrians, and the car reacted to the jogger turning to the right, even though it wasn't coming into our path, but the direction changed. That is so interesting. And it reacted to the crosswalk, the people on the left-hand side of the crosswalk correctly. That's cool. So here is a really large roundabout, and I didn't have any trouble with this at all the very first night. Oh, it detected that yield sign a little bit late, but okay. It still yielded, so that's good. It just braked a little bit hard. Okay, so again, it's struggling with getting the turns to happen more aggressively. Like, it should have really moved over to get this lane change, but it didn't move over. Oh man, it wasn't going to slow down for that dip. So it didn't detect that dip or slow down. It was just going to go right into it. I'm driving kind of slow through here. So there's a speed hump here. Let's see how it handles. So these roundabouts are a lot larger than the ones that we have in Midtown, and I think that might be another reason why it's handling. Yeah, it's not doing well at night. So I had to overtake there. It was actually starting to steer pretty abruptly to the right-hand side of this roundabout. You know, just part of it. Okay, so let's go into Midtown. I'm going to turn to full self-drive. And they're doing a ton of construction down in Midtown. They're always doing construction down there. So this afternoon, it was having some trouble when we were driving through there, but I didn't record any of it. So I want to try it at night, you know, with some less traffic, so it'll be safer for me to drive through there. So it had some struggles in this intersection. Now this is a challenging intersection just in general, because let me snapshot that. Because there's a left-hand turn into like a church here, and then there's another left-hand turn to get to the actual street that we need to get to. So it was going to turn, but it was going to actually turn at the wrong intersection there. But you know, it's actually steering. You can see it steered a little bit too tight and then recentered, like average between the width of the lane here. Like, I'm not worried about it, because like the very first night, like, it was just struggling. Like, my steering wheel kept going back and forth. But it's like so much more improved. And once they just adjust the software a little bit, it's gonna be phenomenal. And it's just amazing to me, because like between one software update that we've had as testers, you can see the improvements. Like, that's what's so impressive to me being part of this, because, you know, we can just see it. And then now that people can actually see our experience of it, you can see how fast it is. I mean, like, that should tell everyone that Tesla is going in places that no one else is going. Like, it makes me so excited as an owner, and, you know, like, I tell everyone to buy a Tesla, because it truly is just the best thing ever. I mean, I've had a lot of cars, but this has been, like, hands down the coolest thing I've ever driven as a techie person. Like, the fact that my car has more power. Wow, that's so amazing. Okay, so that was a really good example of the new FSD code. There was an oncoming bicyclist and a big SUV that actually crossed the line, and he crossed over the line. He was just kind of like on it. He wasn't in our lane, but he definitely was over the line a little bit. And the Tesla reacted to it and slid to the right slightly, even with a car that wanted to turn left. And it slowed down a little bit and fit between all the traffic and all the cars. So, you know, without like coming to a full stop or slamming on the brakes, it centered really, really well. That was awesome. So now we're on 8th Street heading westbound towards Midtown, downtown in Sacramento. This is actually a pretty tight curve. I think I tried this in autopilot before, and the curve, I got like a curvature warning before. And I've noticed with the FSD code, even the same curves, you don't get curvature warnings like I used to. It just continues to drive still. So they definitely increased the threshold of curves. Now, U-turns are definitely not supported yet because I've tested FSD mode where a U-turn would be expected, and it makes you go like around the entire block. So that's just not ready yet, but I do expect that either they're going to do a U-turn or they're not going to support it. I don't know. I haven't read anything about that yet. But just the fact that our cars can drive, you know, down city streets and take turns and stops and yield to pedestrians is just mind-blowing and so incredible to me. So we're actually approaching McKinley Park area. Now during the day, there's usually a ton of pedestrians, bicyclists, runners, cars. This is a very populated area right here. And this is a very interesting spot here. The road actually just like turns to the right, so I'm gonna see how it's gonna react here. Now it didn't turn on the turn signal, and it turned into the lane to the right. So the right hand side there is actually a parking lane. The lane's actually here to the left, like the middle. So I missed it on the screen. Well, I reported it. So it detected the parking lane as a drivable lane, because I mean it is on the road, but it's not drivable lane. Okay, let's turn it back on. So the decisions for pathing is so interesting. Like, you can make a right turn here, but it's not telling us, like, we should make a right turn and then a left, but it's wanting us to go straight and then left and then right. That's interesting. Bug report, missing the right hand turn. Yeah, because this isn't like, this was a bad decision on the navigation's part. Like, this is, you can't go straight here, you have to turn left. So that's why it's making me go around here, but it should have just turned right and then left, because you can go this way. And I overtook there because for some reason it started to kind of like pull a little bit to the left, so I wanted to overtake. I didn't want my car to look all crazy on the road. Perfect. It's trying to go down an alley, and what is this? Why is it? Yeah, okay, so I noticed with the FSD software, it's like doing very strange routing decisions. Like, why it put me down an alley, I have no idea. Very strange. Now it was turning into the alley itself, but you know, like, there's something wrong with the routing decision there. So I want Tesla to, you know, have that intervention feedback loop so they know like why I took control there, because it's making strange pathing decisions. So it's back in FSD mode. I love the fact that we can enable autopilot FSD when we're at a stop. It's really helping. So we're going to actually go around a roundabout here so we can see how it functions. Gosh, it's so much better. Like, I hope you guys are noticing like how much more smooth the steering is. Like, you know, the very first, I think the very first video I did, the steering wheel was like going back and forth. So I'm overtaking this because there's actually a car behind me, and the car pretty much came to a full stop, and it was treating that intersection as like a full stop. And you know, it shouldn't really be coming to a full stop like that. Okay, I'll just wait till past here. Again, why is it going down an alley? So again, it's trying to path down an alley. Like, I've never seen this before on standard nav routing. It doesn't route me through alleys. So it's strange. Like, there's something with the FSD code enabled. It's doing strange pathing decisions. But like, the driving itself is just incredibly different. Like, you know, being able to see the difference of the steering, especially at night, you know, when it was they're thinking I'm hesitating and it's my car. I actually did give it a little bit of throttle there because it was just taking too much time to take that turn. So there's pedestrians. I want to make sure it stops for them, and it did. Now it is stopping too far back here, and this SUV is kind of like mad that the car was going slow, but that's okay. It wasn't unsafe. So this is going to actually take us into the heart of downtown, and there was a lot of construction happening, and there's a lot of roundabouts. Earlier there was a lot of traffic, so but it still handled the road really, really well. So let's just see how it handles this like right turn. Yeah, again, it's like stopping so far out. Yeah, it's gonna. So I had to intervene there because it's just getting so close to curbs. Like, I let it drive around some curves around Midtown earlier, and it would get within, like, I mean, it was like within an inch or two of the curb. Like, it's so close. They need to make an adjustment to make the turns be wider. It'll be just more comfortable for us as drivers and passengers. Even if it's not going to hit it, it just needs to be, they need to modify that distance out a little bit. Oh, that was strange. So it reacted to this bicyclist, like, after we already passed the bicyclist, and really went to the left there, and then there was a median in the center. It didn't hit anything, but that was a little late. I think it had to do with the fact that that bicyclist was all in black. Like, it was even hard for me to see. Like, you could see the bicycle itself, but the person was wearing all black. So I think the car had some trouble seeing that. See there, it's so interesting. Like, there it stopped and rolled out slowly, but other times it stops and kind of like really aggressively accelerates. This wasn't a stop. Okay, so it's confused at this intersection for some reason. There's no stop, but it clearly had some issues with finding where it needed to go, so I needed to intervene for that. So this is actually F Street, and it's not stops on both sides, so I'm being very careful about. Okay, yeah, no. So for some reason the car wanted to stop for that parked car because it was parked out so far on the side of the street, but it was stopping in the road with no protected you know, stop signs on each side. So, like, I would have just went around the car because the roads are so wide here. Good. It's so funny, like, I'm actually talking to the car like, good, you're performed, you should have done, that's exactly what you needed to do. So I'm just going to snapshot this because this is kind of interesting. So, you know, we have a dotted line there, so we could have, by law, we could have actually moved over to the right and taken the right-hand turn. I mean, I'm okay with here and turning right, but, you know, we could have gone there. There's plenty of room for the car. So I just sent that snapshot over to the Tesla team. I mean, I'm not complaining, but, you know, that could be something that could be improved slightly. So I think it had some issues pathfinding there because it actually gave me the red hands, like, take control. It reacted to that car that was over the stop line, but it wasn't moving. Now again, I'm not overtaking in these scenarios because it's not aggressively doing things that were out of control like on my .10 software. So that's what's so useful about that autopilot button, because you can just tap it and then this entire scene can get sent over to the team. So the lane lines are so they're not visibly marked here. Okay, so it did have trouble with the vision seeing the lines here. As you saw, the lines just kind of like disappeared on the right. So it was turned on the signal and was turning to switch lanes to the center, but then it was going to go back. But there was too much like weaving for that, so I had to overtake. So it needs to be, you know, gradual. So I'm going to go ahead and re-enable FSD. There we go. So it's pretty crazy. I drove down this exact route earlier today, and our car literally drove, I don't know what had happened, but it had drove up into the street, into the side of that building. There was all this news crew here, and the coolest thing is FSD was driving and it went right around the cars and just kept on driving down the road. So, like, it's so cool to me. And what's super impressive to me is it's reacting to the light so far back. I mean, like, it even if it's yellow, you can feel the car start to slow down, and it shows the yellow light now. I don't know if I've noticed that in my other versions. Maybe it's been there, but it's just really neat to see the car reacting to it so early. Because it's like how I would drive as a person, you know. I would start decelerating if I saw the light change yellow far back, you know, just because it's more gradual and natural. So I drove down into the state capitol area. There's a huge like roundabout there. It didn't go very well, so I'm not going to drive there to show you guys because I'm just going to wait until I see some newer updates that we're supposed to be getting soon. To see if it improves, and then I'll bring video for that, because it was not fun. Okay, so I'm overtaking here because it was hesitating to switch lanes. I think because it was detecting the bicyclist coming up behind it. It wasn't near us, but because it was detecting the bicyclist, it was hesitating for some reason to change lanes, and there's just so much traffic. I need the car to switch the lanes and get into the lane and not hesitate. So that's why I'm overtaking. Okay, so I'm going to re-enable FSD here. So it's detecting the car. They have a stop, so I'm not worried about cars. Okay, so it didn't detect those cones. So this is exactly the same kind of scenario I had when I was driving around Auburn. So there was a construction zone just like this that has all these cones, but for some reason it's detecting between the cones as a drivable, and it was attempting to route between that. So that's definitely something I want to see improvement on. So this is going to be just challenging in general. So there's a lot of construction up here, a lot of cones. I mean, even for a standard driver, it's like, where do you go? But let's see how the car does. Right lane closed, should go left. Okay, so it may have been just fine there, but you know, to me, it was too close for comfort. It turned the wheel to the left, like as we were going past the guy holding that the construction sign, and there's a curb right there. It may have been fine, but I don't want my car jerking into a median and potentially hitting it. So, you know, that's why I'm overtaking there. So that should have gotten captured and sent to Tesla. So hopefully they can refine the, you know, obstacle avoidance, especially with construction zones, because it did detect the median. So it may have been fine, but to me it was a little bit too much. So straight ahead we have another construction zone where we're gonna have to move all the way to the left. I'm curious how it's gonna handle all this. So we're clear on the left. It's rough, like, not gonna lie, you guys. Oh. So it, I mean, it went around everything, but it pretty strongly turns the wheel, and, you know, it reacted to the light and stopped. But, you know, this car is like 4,000 pounds, maybe more than 4,000 pounds, and it's a little much when the car's like going pretty aggressively in every direction. So it's trying, there's something with the pathfinding that's really glitching this out. So it was trying to pathfind towards the, because, you know, on the road it actually has a street there, but it was trying to pathfind to the right. It wouldn't have driven into that, but like, it definitely is a really unique situation. Okay, so let's actually go into the other stop point. So the Crocker Art Museum's on the right-hand side here. Okay, so that just, you know, it's moving, it's hunting for the path, and what it's doing is it's making the car look like, it's making me look like a drunk driver by kind of like going back and forth. So I'm overtaking because of that. After this light, I'll re-engage. Gosh, it reacts so well to the lights. It's just that, like, that's so impressive to me that the car reacts so quickly to the lights, especially with this hardware. it's so quick. It's like the light turns green and you can feel the car immediately react to it. Like, that's so impressive to me. It's like on point with very fast human reactions, you know, as drivers. So these are really challenging areas. I don't know, so Sacramento just added this whole like bike parking lane to a lot of the roadways in Sacramento. They went from 3 lanes down to 2. And I don't know if the map data has been updated to reflect that, because I think that might be why the car wants to keep going into these drivable lanes, these undrivable areas now. I'm not sure, but it's definitely a really unique scenario there. So we have light rail. So the light rail train's actually blocking some of the lights. You can see it flashing here, but it still can see those lights even with the I don't know what they're called, but the electric pole from the train blocking the lights as it moves by. You could see them flashing. Okay, didn't react to light. So for some reason, this light that was flickering red was actually the light that was that was facing the other side, the other direction. And the camera could see it, and it was noticing that that light was red, so the car didn't proceed. So I had to overtake for that. And I'll re-engage FSD right up here. Car actually had its door open, and there's a pedestrian crossing. Okay, it didn't react fast enough for my liking. I would have, you know, slowed down, but I'm not going to take any chances with that. It may have braked really suddenly at the last second there, but, you know, as a human driver, I wouldn't have like turned the corner and slammed on my brakes and, you know, scare the poor guy. And yeah. I don't know if it would stop it here or not. No. So I'm just noticing that there's no lights showing up. Oh, so the position of the lights are really interesting here. So they're actually like way out on the side poles and way up above. So I don't know if that's going to be a limitation of the hardware and the car needs to be back further, or if it can detect the train moving across, but it wasn't detecting the lights there. So when I engaged autopilot or FSD, the car started to creep forward, and you know, it had trouble rendering the lights, so it may have just gone. So this is an extremely busy street here. It's not stopping for the cars. So this is 16th or 15th. I think this might be 16th Street. So this is just a challenging intersection. It wasn't reacting to the cars, so I needed to overtake that. So I drove down here earlier, and it drove perfectly. Like, you know, it was doing a little hunting, as you can see, like the steering wheel hunting a little bit. So I think what was happening is because it noticed this oncoming car kind of go around this parked truck, this parked van, it was gonna steer the steering wheel to the right to kind of like avoid the car. But you know, it could have just paused and just waited a second instead of like jerking the wheel around. was like, oh, no work address. I know. I'm unemployed right now. Don't remind me, Tesla. So again, it's doing strange pathfinding. So it should have turned left here. We can turn left. So that's kind of odd. Let's see. Okay, once it comes back, I'll turn it back on. Go. Sorry. I was on the right, so it was me. So that was an interesting scenario. Now the car is coming to a full stop all the time. That was really strange because it's like most of the stops I've been doing, it's been doing kind of like rolling stops and not coming to full stops. But now it's like coming to a full stop, and it kind of took a little bit long at that intersection back there. Yeah, I don't like the fact that it kind of swerved right there. So, you know, because it's not handling roundabouts the most efficient way right now, I'm just gonna cancel that and send that log. So what was happening at that intersection, there was a big delay by the time that the car wanted to accelerate. So the car on the left was like, well, I'm just gonna go. And then Tesla's like, well, you know what? I'm on the right. I'm gonna go first. And then it just went. But you know, the car had stopped. You know, it started to roll and then they stopped like just right after the stop line. So, you know, I'm not gonna overtake that. It was my turn to go, but it should have definitely like not been so hesitant on going after that at that stop there. It was just like it took way too long. Like if it only took that long at every stop, I'd feel a lot more comfortable. Because there's sometimes it'll stop and it won't roll to like look very clearly, and then it like goes to accelerate, and it's just not a very comfortable feeling there. So this road's actually pretty interesting. On S Street, there's a bunch of like speed median, speed tables, I think they call it. So this will be good to see if it detects it and slows down at night. It did. I don't know if you guys saw that. It slowed down like big time for those speed bumps. Come on, slow down. Oh, please. That was funny. So I would have slowed down a lot earlier for that speed bump, personally, because it was a little bit fast. But you know, it did slow down, so that's pretty awesome. Like, so it was really, there was like a parked truck on that corner, and it was a little bit hard to see. As a driver, I would have stopped and creeped out to kind of look to make sure it was clear. But I could see that it was cleared because I didn't see any lights or any cars coming. But it's navigating so much better than it did the first night I drove around Midtown. It's incredible. I really hope that this shows everyone like the improvement level even from one software version to the next, and how fast Tesla's able to come out with these updates and push it to the fleet. Because as an IT person, you know, it's so incredible to me, like, to see how quickly they can push software out, and it literally makes your car drive different. Like, it's just so unheard of. So this is just a challenging intersection. It's I'm hoping it just doesn't do the right turn. Oh, well, there's no cars, so it actually took the right turn just fine. Again, you know, I've said it so many times. I want it to stop, roll, like creep out and look. Because as a driver, I want to make sure it's safe. You know, I don't know if the car knows it's safe or not. There's no way for me to know that. It just like goes. It may have been fine, but I just don't like the fact that it, as a driver, it needs to tell me something or just creep or something like that, so we know it's like processing. Why is it saying it said lane change for some reason right there? There must be something about either the map data. It's got to be map data because there's no arrows indicating to switch lanes there, but the car wanted to switch lanes for some reason. So I'm thinking that might be map data that needs to be corrected. I don't know how to correct, you know, give feedback on that other than overtake. Because I think that was less about FSD and more about like actual map data on that one. I love it. Like, I feel like the amount of interventions I'm doing is so much more less than when I first got the beta. And even at night, it had a lot more trouble turning for me than you know, other people. So it reacted to that car for some reason, making a right-hand turn, like the car braked. It wasn't, you know, too aggressive, and I didn't feel like anyone would rear end me. But that's definitely something I need to send over to Tesla. It's handling this scenario is great. It's great, you guys. Like, you know, I'm such a fan. This is fantastic, and it's just gonna be a matter of time until we see these updates roll to us as testers, and it's just that much faster that everyone else in the public's gonna be able to experience this. So kudos to Tesla, and kudos to all the testers out there.